Four Downs with Rich.
Here we go.
First down in post-week 9, getting ready for week number 10. The Jacksonville Jaguars are for real. What they did to the Cincinnati Bengals, they are now a team that is better than the Cincinnati Bengals. You might sit there and laugh, so what? What does that mean? Cincinnati's got no-joke defense. They've got A.J. Green, who's skinned clearly, Jalen Ramsey in that defense got under. That defense adds Marcel Darius to it. They can play defense. I'm not saying that they're a Super Bowl team. I have no idea what Blake Bortles is going to do when the rubber begins to meet the road in December. But they are definitely an AFC South ready with the Tennessee Titans and Marcus Mariota, who's on the show tomorrow, trying to improve. They've been a little bit too choppy on offense for my liking. And with Leonard Fournette sat down, they went and punked. They punked the Cincinnati Bengals at home. Maybe they should move to the AFC North because they punked the Bengals and they have punked the Steelers in Pittsburgh. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, I like them a lot. Their next game coming up this week, the Jaguars are at home against the Los Angeles Chargers. Then they're at Cleveland. We're staring potentially a 7-3 record for Jacksonville in the face right here. I like them. They are for real. It's time to talk about them as a team that can win the AFC South. Second down. I said a couple weeks ago that the Oakland Raiders concern me. I was nervous about them, certainly going into the game against Kansas City, where they looked terrific. And then we saw what they did at Buffalo last week, and they just absolutely laid an egg. And we saw Buffalo, which I have genuine concerns about on that offensive line, look the way they did against the New York Jets. And the Bills have a big game against the Saints this week. I think that they are in trouble in Western New York on that front. But as for the Oakland Raiders, watching Marshawn Lynch return and run the ball the way he did against that front seven for Miami, I think that they are going to make the playoffs as a wild card team. Currently at 4-5 right now. The autumn wind is starting to blow. And if Marshawn Lynch can run the ball like that, and Derek Carr can take care of the football at quarterback, and it helps to have a presence with Jared Cook at tight end, and at some point, Amari Cooper is going to wake up against somebody that's not wearing red in the Kansas City Chiefs. That this is a team, the Oakland Raiders are now on a bye week. They're against the Patriots in Mexico, which is basically a home game for them. Then they're home for Denver, home for the Giants before they have a chance to sweep the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City before they're home for Dallas on a Sunday night, at Philadelphia, and then at the Los Angeles Chargers, which for them will be a home game. I like it. I like it a lot. You look at the rest of the AFC standings right now. The Raiders are 9th, tied with the Ravens at 4-5. The Dolphins are going to be 4-5, I believe, after they lose to Carolina on Monday Night Football. And then they just have to hope that the Bills stumble, because that's the only team that kind of sits in front of them right now. I like the way that the AFC is setting up as a wild card for the Raiders, and they might even be in Kansas City for a second time to start the playoffs. It's just a reading of the tea leaves that I have right now after Week 9 in the National Football League. Third down. The Carolina Panthers are the most bizarre 6-3 team I've ever seen. You look down and you're like, this team should be 3-6 because they lost Greg Olsen, one of the best receivers that Cam Newton had at his disposal for the last several years. They trade away Kelvin Benjamin. They'd say take Kelvin Benjamin for another day. They still haven't figured out how to use Curtis Samuel. They haven't figured that one out yet. They're just beginning to get some sea legs under Christian McCaffrey with regularity. The offensive line, Ryan Khalil hasn't been healthy. Their center hasn't been healthy. Think about it. Their center hasn't been healthy. Luke Kuechly, they lost him to injury and concussion for a couple of weeks. And then their quarterback just courts as many useless weeks of controversy, self-inflicted weeks of controversy that you'll ever see. They fired their general manager. All of this normally would add up to a team that's 3-6. They're 6-3, and they're welcoming Jay Cutler and the Dolphins into their house. And the Dolphins, if they don't turn it around, will have lost 3 consecutive nationally televised contests. I don't know how they're doing it. There might be some smoke. There's definitely some mirrors. The Carolina Panthers defense is stout. It's terrific. Offensively, one week they can't move the ball. Next week that they're world beaters. Kudos to Ron Rivera. 6-3. They are the most bizarre 6-3 team I have ever seen. And if the Saints get tripped up in Western New York, which is entirely possible this week, and the Carolina Panthers can go on Monday Night Football to take the lead in the NFC South through 10 weeks. Don't forget, though, the Saints have already beaten them there this year. One of those games where they suddenly couldn't do anything right. Think about that. They may have to go into the Superdome when all things finish up in the NFC South. That is a game that they'll be playing in week number, let's figure that out, 4 weeks from now at New Orleans. Keep that in your mind's eye. Now, fourth down is where I go for it.
Down.
I go for it regardless of down and distance. I'm moving the sticks regardless. My hottest take around.
What do you got?
The Detroit Lions are going to win the NFC North.
Oh.
I really like what Matt Stafford is doing. Don't forget, in the same respect that the LA Chargers have a banner pretty much every year, certainly when they're San Diego, that we could be fill in the blank and you reverse the record that they currently have. Still, they should have beaten the Atlanta Falcons. I understand that the ruling appeared to be right. The Lions' defense is no joke. I'm genuinely concerned about their short yardage situation. If they're going to rely on a passing game to move the sticks on 3rd and short, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, I'd much rather than. I mean, Jeff in Detroit calling in and saying, hey, man, they should have had Adrian Peterson. That was an interesting one. But I'm still not buying that Vikings offense right now. The Packers are done. I'm sticking a fork in them with the way that we see Brett Hundley playing. Those are my 4 downs here on the Rich Eisen Show, as I do after every National Football League week.
For more Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Rich Eisen Show app.